What you're about to see in this video is what I would do to first introduce a person to shooting a gun if they have never shot one before, or if they are next to never shooting one. Of course, I don't explain all the safety stuff and that in this, but I do recommend that as you go along and teach them, that you also teach them the basics of shooting safety, and do that way before they ever pull the trigger for the first time. But I also recommend that they take a course, an NRA type course in gun safety and the basics of shooting. In some states, such as Illinois, if you take your CCL, you get that, the first part of it, because it's in two parts. So I always recommend that you do take a good shooting safety course. I'm Dan Galusha, and welcome to another edition of Shootin' Plink. Today, I guess you would want to call this Shooting Less Than 101. I want to give you my idea for starting somebody out shooting. Somebody that maybe has never held a gun in their life and never fired one, of course, at that rate. Or someone that is such a beginner that they're not too sure which end is actually the grip. Anyway, like I said, this is for the beginners, for the people that want to get into it, or for somebody that's wanting to show somebody. Now, I had one woman that I tried to teach her, and she couldn't get the buttstock even positioned at all right on her shoulder. She had it all over the place. Of course, my mom, she was so short, she'd put it up on her shoulder, and it worked. She was shooting 22s and air guns. But this woman also could not handle the pistol. I mean, she couldn't get it gripped in her hand. She was just a person that probably should never shoot. And yet, I did finally, somehow, got her to grip that pistol and shoot it. It was an air gun. It was an air gun. Had another woman that I showed her how it was with a Browning 1911 22. And I showed her, or actually I told her first what she should do. That gal was a natural. She picked that thing up, put it like this, had it right down the line, did not have her finger into the trigger guard. She had everything. Perfect. Very good student. Now, what will we do? All right, we got a person that has never fired a gun. Nothing. So what I say is pretty much all of us have got this. This one is the adult version, but this is the Daisy Red Ryder. Yep, it's probably one of the best things you can have them do. Tell them how to get it up there, show them the sights as to how to do it. Now, they're not going to be able to shoot anything as long as you have not cocked this thing. And, get them like this, show them how they should position that front sight onto the rear sight, and put them about, I'd say about 7 yards away, because they should be able to hit the target if you get them right. At least they ought to by the second round. Eventually, move them on back to 10. Don't take them way back to 25, not for a while. And let them fire this thing quite a few times. Teach them with this. Now, yes, this is a rifle style. I'm going to get to the pistol too, because remember, what we're trying to do is we're trying to talk to a person that has never fired a thing. I have heard and even seen it with a gun like this. The first round they hit, they throw it. I mean, they don't want to fire again. They don't want to shoot anything. That happens. Well, that's fine. Next, what are we going to do for a pistol? Well, in fact, you ought to go after that. Go to a pellet, like a pellet rifle, something like an Umarex NXG multi-pump, and pump it up a few times. And this way, they are loading a single pellet one at a time and firing that. It's a rifled barrel. They'll be able to shoot. They'll be pretty doggone accurate, especially if they go from 10 yards with this one. Once you've got them up to 10 yards, that's a good time to do that with that sort of a air gun. Now, we're going to move it up even further, because we're not going to step them up yet on the rifle. We're going to take them back to a handgun. And by doing that, well, the first handgun I would say is, if you just want a single shot type thing to just see how to handle it, use either the, it's another Umarex, two of them in fact there are. There's the Mark IV, the Ruger Mark IV, and also the Browning Bugmark. They have those in air guns. They're single shot, they're break barrel. Have them fire that a few times, see how they like it. Now, let's break them into a handgun eventually, an actual pistol. Where are you going to find one that they can handle as an air gun? Yep, we're going to take them to an air gun. Probably one of the best ones, I got it right here, is this one. It's a Smith & Wesson M&P 40. You can't get much realer than that, and it's all BBs. It's a CO2. The magazine is just like a real magazine. Loads in the same. Has a CO2 cartridge in there. This up here even locks back. No rounds in it, just like shooting your final round. They can look in it, they can check it. You can teach them that way, you can have them this way. Move that. Over here you got your slide lock, you can put that forward. It is a blowback so that it shoots just like a real one, but it's strictly BBs. It even has a safety, like your regular safety, right up here. So they even have that to learn with. They can learn everything. It's got a rail on it. This again, is, I think I may have already told you, this is an Umarex product, but it's an M&P 40, Smith & Wesson M&P 40. Just a fantastic starter to teach them the basics of that. And this is, I was telling you about the woman that couldn't hang on to anything. This is the one that I finally put in her hands, and I taught her where she hit the target. I got her about 5 yards away, and she hit the target with it. But that is a very, very good starter one. Now, we're going to start them out after they've fired this and really got used to it and getting everything done. Step them up to the same size gun, but with a 22. And you can't go much better than this one. It's an SR22, a Ruger SR22, narrow, fairly lightweight, good weight there. Of course, it's got everything that a regular one would have. The magazine, much thinner magazine, of course, because that one is made like the 40. And they're going to get some pretty good accuracy out of this thing. It's going to show them how to actually fire one with live ammo, because it's going to be a 22. This will be the first time they're shooting a 22. See how they do with that. They may never want to go above this. That's fine. That's just absolutely fine. So from here, let's go up to another 22. We're not going to get them out of 22s yet. We're going to show them what it's like to shoot a compact. And again, we're back to Ruger right here. That one right there. That is a LCP-2 22 light rack. And it's got a smaller magazine and everything else, but it's got the rest of the stuff. It does have a little strange safety, but I kind of like it. If it's going to have a safety, it's right here. Putting it back on isn't as easy, but for them to take it off, all they got to do is push it forward like that. And it's got slide locks, it's got everything, just like you normally would. You can start teaching them, well, you can actually start teaching them on an SR22 how to tear them down and clean it. That's another thing they need to know, is how all the tear down and all that stuff, and that's a fairly easy one to do. So that's a good starting point too. Now we're going to move them up. They've shot their 22s. So the next thing we're going to move them to is this one right here. This is going to go down to a compact. And this is a Ruger. It's a Security 380. And they've now got a fiber optic sight. You notice I have not shown you any of the other sights like red dots, all that. We don't want them doing that. We want them to learn how to shoot with this. And again, it's got all the features. It is the compact. It does have a fiber optic, so they get a little bit of a taste of that. And it's a 380. They're not going up much higher. Now, if they want to keep going from here, then we're going to go up to a full size. And probably one of the best ones they can shoot. And I would even recommend them taking this to, if they go to get their CCL. This is a Security 9, and it's 9mm. Now they're firing 9mm. They may never want to go past this 9mm. So this is where we're going to stop them on their basics. From there on, by the time they're shooting this thing, they're pretty much going on. I mean, they're ready to, if they want to keep going, they can go on their own, to go off to other sort of stuff. You've done your job. You've got them to this. And then you got one more thing you can show them. This is another Ruger product. This one is the Max 9, and it has the ready dot. This is when they can start learning a red dot. It's called a ready dot because there is no batteries in this thing. And they also have a fiber optic up here, kind of like a True Glow. I'm not sure what brand they use, but this is one that's a co-witness, so that you get it down there with the thing like this, and you got your dot on here, and you got both ways. So you shoot it with your regular sight, your first one, you go on like this, and then the dot, which is a very big dot, I don't even know if you could see it there, probably not, because I can't see if you can even see it. It's a big dot. I think it's about a 16 MOA, something like that. It's not a little dot, but it's about as big as your regular sight. And you look in there and you put it on there, it's a co-witness. You can nail your target because you're going to be able to follow up your rounds. This is when to teach them on that. We're going to be shooting this thing too in another video all by itself, because this one's still in the process of our review, test, and evaluation. Yeah, this one's still going, so I just wanted to bring this one up. Now, getting back to rifles. Well, I didn't start out on a pistol or anything. My dad started me out a long time ago with a single shot Stevens, model 55 Stevens, a single shot 22. And that is an excellent one to start out with, especially with the rifles. Anything like that, it's just single shot because you're not going to be doing anything else. Bolt action, put the round in, put the bolt back, bang. That's a good way to start. And you can start them out too. If you're using 22s, you can go with some quiet ammunition to kind of break them in so that they're not getting a real loud bang or anything like that. That will work them in a little gradually, especially if you know you got a skittish student. Now from there, from that bolt action, you can move them on up. Don't take them to semi-auto, not yet. Don't turn them loose on that. So the next best thing for semi-auto would be to this. And now they're going to get a taste of another sight. This is a Henry Frontier. My first lever action, in fact. Now they're going to learn the lever action. They're going to learn whichever way you got it set up, but this is the time to introduce them to like the Skinner peep sight. This is a thing that I did with some people, and that was the end of regular sights. They were ready for that Skinner because they looked down that sight, they said, holy cow, they hit a bullseye. Guess what? They were sold on that Skinner. And that's what happens a lot of times. At that point, they don't want a different rifle, but you still got to teach them on it. So you go from this to the next one, and that's going to still stay in the 22 line. And we'll take them to the, not the semi-auto, but one like a Ruger American, which uses the same magazine. It's a 10-round magazine. It's a bolt action. Uses the same 10-round magazine, the box magazine that you're going to be using in a Ruger 1022. From that bolt action American, take them to the Ruger 1022, which then they will be introduced to semi-automatic. Once they're used to this and how to handle it, what you're supposed to do about unloading the magazine and all that sort of stuff, of course the box magazines in any of the 1022s or even the Americans are going to be a little bit different getting them out, but they're going to learn that. They've already learned what to do with these magazines, so then you can move them up to one higher caliber, and that would be this one. This is a Ruger PC carbine. We are now firing the 9mm. Nice thing about this is if they're learning, or they're going to get one of those Security 9s, the Security 9 magazine will fit in this. This one will also take American magazines, a Glock 17, and an SR9, if you have an SR9, which of course they don't have anymore. this is an excellent one to do. And it's a takedown, and I know one gentleman, he got one of these, and he got an SR9 at the same time, or no, not an SR, but a Security 9 at the same time he got this. So he had magazines both ways. He wanted this, says he wanted to teach his wife how to shoot, and that's how he wanted to teach her to shoot, is with a 9mm. Yeah, she'd already shot though at 22 and that, so she was used to that. Well, she prefers firing this than the Security 9. She don't like the Security 9, but she will fire this and she'll hit the target. So I guess if the two of them had to do some self-defense, one shoots one shoots the other, they're trying to do pretty good. But anyway, that's what we do there. Now, as far as the other ammo, where you're going on up to 223 or whatever, anything like that, don't ever start anybody with anything like that. Let them go along, and once they do get to the point where maybe we're going to fire 223, or even before that, take them to a 17 HMR or 22 mag right in there, because those are quite similar. They're going to get a lot of bang, and they're going to get a little bit more recoil from that 22. So you know, that's a good breaking point. You don't have to, but it is a good transition point from your regular 22 to that, and also to this. Now you go from this, like I said, to say a 223. Once they're doing good enough with this, where they know they've got all that, again, don't start them with a semi-automatic. Start them with something like a Henry 223 single shot. I've got one of those. They're very, very nice. Put a big scope on them, and that'd be a good time to maybe introduce them to a scope even. Although I would suggest they fire it first with just the regular open sights if you don't have a scope. If you do have a scope, hopefully on that you have some see-through scope rings so that you can shoot through the sights, or you can shoot with the scope. Either way, that's a good starting point. From there on, well, they're already pretty much taught, so they can do what they want and get it and take it to the range or what have you, and you can show them some things that they need in it. But again, that's a quick breakdown of what I do. I know other people have probably got other ideas, but that's a progression where you start them from beginning to end, and that's not going to happen in 2 days to a week. It's going to happen over a period of time, and just see how they do. Because if they don't perform well with the one, it's up a little higher, take them back down to where they were. As I said, this is actually shooting less than 101. So until next time, shoot safe and have a great day of plinking.